polite discourse.
Oh, I'm not saying having polite discourse. Believe me, people will know. It's not like I treat Holocaust deniers nicely, but my point is that's tragic. These things are awful, and the rise of anti-Semitism and hate and racism and misogyny and homophobia and all kinds of hate is awful. Islamophobia. The problem is, what can you do about it? That's where the kind of debate comes in. And I don't think. First of all, our space or any space isn't. I don't think necessarily big enough to really affect anything necessarily on a large scale. But for me, and the same thing with vaccines, is I'm just about affecting small scale. If it's one person at the end of the day who hears something on their space and is that was a really interesting point you made. I'm going to think differently about that. That's kind of what I go for and what I've always gone for. And I've gotten those messages. So I know that it is effective. Obviously, we talk more about vaccines than, anti-Semitism and stuff. But I'm just talking about someone I don't know if you probably know Yehuda, who runs a lot of spaces.
Yes.
And we'll debate a lot.
Let me just piggyback off that real. Yehuda does great work. For months and months and months and months and months, he does great work. And for months, he goes into Nelson Apega's spaces. And he tries passionately to debunk all the lies from, we know them, Mo, Faraz, Habiba, Suleiman, Syrian girl. We know them. We know all of them, right? Months worth of work, culminating in before Nelson creates his Chatter app with subjecting Yehuda to debate someone for hours. And all that person does is say Jews, and then the thing about children they always claim. I don't want to repeat the statement here. Okay, Yehuda turning to Nelson and saying, okay, you can't allow this guy to just call me a pedo, call my entire people a pedos for the entire debate, and sit here with a shit-eating grin and call that good faith. Okay, this is the point. Yehuda is fighting the good fight, but stopping that and moving on to something more, dare I say, applicable to self-defense in real life, okay, is not giving up. There's a difference between giving up on trying to communicate with these people and saying, I fought the good fight for as long as I can and I can't fight it anymore. A year from now, truther, I'll pop back into this room. It'll be even worse than it is today. Okay, it won't be 2 in a week. It'll be 5 in a week. It'll be 10 in a week. The moment you accept, we know where this is going. Because we've seen it before. And it's not only the same playbook as last time, it's the same playbook but improved. Okay, the moment you just capitulate, you in the proverbial sense, forgive my aggression here, I think there's no real anger directed towards you. It's frustration and the dialogue, like I said. The only pushback I get at this point is from my own group. But the moment you accept that and just capitulate, you'll realize that putting sandbags in front of your house might literally be more applicable for your future. Look at Britain. Only 31% of British Jews think there's a long-term future in Britain. Okay, you might have known that statistic, but at what point is it worth building some kind of defense that goes beyond simply trying to communicate? And again, this is one.
Let me just, if I could just interject. What you're saying are significantly world problems and bigger problems than what's going to happen in my space or anyone else's space, right? But at the end of the day, whether I enjoy debating, right? I enjoy sort of interaction with people that disagree with me on things. I hate echo chambers. If this space was just going to be people that agreed with me, I probably wouldn't be running it since 2023. 2 plus times a week.
I'm only speaking to this one subject, but think of the double.
No, I understand, but that's one of the subjects that interests me, especially since
fair enough.
Right?
I'm not going to be able to tell you how to run your room. Just think of the double standard you're imposed upon yourself. If I don't allow this, right? If I become an echo chamber, you've tried. 18 months, you've done your best to hold back this time.
But my point is, I think we've done some good. But that's not even I'm not even here to try to change the world or anything. Obviously, that's just a little space that has 100 people in it. But my point is, if we let these ideas go unchallenged, even if it's not bringing them in and talking to them, even if it's it's just discussing them and debunking them one by one. That's what we do at the beginning of these spaces. We go through all the points of the week and we kind of show how they're wrong and what's been misrepresented and how people are misleading or lying by omission.
real. And that this
Yeah.
is coming from a place of love. Challenge it or don't. That guy was torturing your mental health. He was.
I don't know who you're talking. I don't even know who you're
the
talking
guy
about.
from like 4 days ago who came in the room and had like a 2-hour debate about whether or not the Red Cross's official
That wasn't.
document.
I think you're talking to it. I think you're thinking of a different room.
Not.
I didn't have a
The
space
guy's
for
in
it.
the room. He keeps citing a false Red Cross document. He keeps saying only 275,000 people died.
Oh, that was like
Whatever.
weeks ago.
I mean, it all blurs together for me. The point is, that guy achieved his goal, which was to torture your mental health, to torture everyone's mental health, to make everyone in this room groan every single time he brought that bullshit to the front door. And by the way, might I remind you that Goebbels himself is the one who said, all you have to do is tell a lie until people think it's truth. That guy, for all you know, was able, with his endless lie bullshit, to convince 3 on-the-fence scrapers of taking a lead.
So I know who you're talking about. You're talking about that CG guy. First of all, he didn't affect my mental health at all. You don't understand what I go through on a daily basis. There's literally nothing that can affect me. But he wrote me a message after that space, and he said, mad respect. I've never seen any JQ heavy hitters like Truth Teller get hit with the data that you brought.
They love that.
You made me think about this a different way.
Every Groyper says they're not anti-Semitic, and they love all.
No, he is. No, he is anti-Semitic. That's not my point. My point is that he
you believe
the way that I
he says much respect.
Well, it's not. I mean, why would he write that if he didn't?
The whole room was pointing out to him that he clearly doesn't respect Jews in the least. Hence his endless Holocaust denial.
Right. I understand. So what you're saying is you'd rather him be on a space with more people and have nobody challenging him or interjecting or being able to mute him or being able.
If it was what I was going to say, I'd start with the obvious, which is that public shaming has always been more efficient than debating the Holocaust. David Irving didn't stop putting out his bullshit until a court said, you're a lunatic, and for lack of a better phrase, you're now publicly shamed. Okay, no amount of debate or talk in the world changed anything. Everyone knows.
Well, hold on. Let me, 2 things. First of all, we do shame them, number 1. And number 2, I don't know if you heard about that debate that just happened with Truth Teller versus that comment.
Of course, that's all I do. Of course I saw it.
And he got absolutely destroyed and exposed and lost in every conceivable way outside of his echo chamber. And it really did affect him. I mean, you could tell he felt really defeated, and it definitely just hurt his credibility. And there were a lot of people that learned a lot of things that debate. I actually thought that was a productive debate to show what an idiot the guy was.
Okay, well, let me
You may disagree.
I mean, and forgive me for pressing you because you're not the bad guy. Another thing I'd like to point out, by the way, is they love making us fight amongst ourselves. Right? That's like their number one jerk-off entertainment activity. They get us to be at each other's throats. Not that I am at your throat. I love you, bro. But look. If the claim we're making is that kind of robust debate that we just saw leads to people like Truth Teller being like, I don't know, like knocked off his own image of whatever he thinks he is, right? And being kind of like, and everyone watching him get creamed, you would think the last 30 years of letting this stuff be debated in academia and the world and blah, 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 would yield the kind of result you're saying. And yet, if you look at the polls published by Harvard directly after they had to get rid of Claudine Gay, so we know they didn't want to put this out, even they admitted that a fourth of the entire United States denies the Holocaust in its entirety, and another fifth think that it might be a, quote, Zionist stretch. Okay, so clearly, the exchange of free ideas has not brought the debunking of this crap, right? What you saw was Truth getting his butt kicked, and I thought he got his butt kicked too. And what we don't see is every low IQ moron out there who's just begging for a chance to hear things to let them hate Jews be instantly converted. I mean, if you're going to make the claim, you'd have to make the claim that there was some Groypers in that room that after watching Truth get his butt kicked have now stopped being groypers. I don't
I think you're missing my point. I don't think anyone that's already indoctrinated, like an anti-vaxxer who believes vaccines cause autism. I mean, they're brainwashed, right? They're indoctrinated into a cult, right?
That's what I'm
They
trying
have
to
this.
say, True. You can't bring them back from
Well,
the dark.
let me just finish my point. No. Yes, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've destroyed anti-vaxxers multiple times, absolutely obliterated them, embarrassed them, humiliated them. They don't have the same exact generic arguments. They bring up the same debunked studies. They don't care about truth. They only care about a narrative. They're completely brainwashed, right? Projection alert! That are like hardcore extremists. Same thing with anti-Semites, right? But you're not trying to convert them. You're not trying to change a Nazi's mind. You're not trying to, someone who believes vaccines cause autism, you're not going to change that person's mind. But there are so many people that are just starting to think about things differently. They're on the fence. Like, what's going on? What's this deal about AIPAC? What's this deal about the Jews and JFK? And if you actually give them the real information, then you actually could convert. Here comes the anti-Semitism case. To that direction, like you have someone talking about the Franklin prophecy the other day, and this fake document about how Ben Franklin was attacking Jews that somebody created, and so I showed that to someone and debunked it, and they were like, "Wow, I didn't know that." These are things. The problem is they know exactly what to say, just like anti-vaxxers do. What they'll do is they'll do lying by omission. They'll do cherry picking. They'll say, no, forget about that study. What about this little study, right? Same thing with anti-Semites and Nazis and racists, etc. They'll literally cherry pick and show you these small little things. And, JFK, they'll make up some motive that Israel must have had, whether it's nuclear weapons or whatever. But they'll completely negate the motives that so many other people had to kill him. But let me agree with you, then disagree. Okay, so one, again, you're one of the rooms I've been coming to for 18 months. So I'm definitely aware of these things you're telling me, but I do appreciate your willingness to have the back and forth. Okay, number two, if this was October 8th, I would be in complete agreement with you, right? Because maybe there are people on the fence who now hear the truth. They hear the bullshit debunked, and you've kind of assuaded them from joining the Groyper side. Okay, this is 18 months in. There's nobody left on the fence that's going to be pro-Israel now, or pro-Judaism, or pro-not killing the Jews, that didn't already see through the bullshit with the help of those assisting many months ago. At this point, and I think you probably know this too, because they say that this is their strategy and they're following the Goebbels playbook. Their entire effort is aimed at the youth. So in conclusion, in one sentence, I think that entire debate yielded 5 more Groypers and 0 more Israel supporters. Nobody from their side came to the light. Everyone who would have been on the fence that was going to be pro-Israel is already on the pro-Israeli side. But 17-year-olds who were space hopping on Twitter saw this big old debate, and now they know the Zionists, which they already hated from TikTok, were in alliance with the Nazis, and it makes it even easier. Okay, this is the point I'm trying to make. We have tried the experiment. Again, run your room however you want, but I really do think at some point we're going to have to look around and say, we actually could have just been doing what they're doing, which is first. Yeah. Hold on, Max. First of all, I don't think let's not. I feel like going to that. Let's not equate Israel with Judaism.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Right. So it didn't convert anybody to not be anti-Semitic. Okay, you clearly have a very pessimistic view of everything, and that seems. Well, and I'm going to guess, I talked to some, I saw this whole thing about an FBI agent that's, they had one of the worst jobs in the world. There's a segment of the intelligence that has to look at, pictures and videos from pedophiles raping children. And they have to do this, 8 hours a day and every day. And that just destroys your mind. Sometimes it's really break your soul. And I think you says he's an anti-Semite
slayer, but yet he doesn't think Israel's a Jewish state. Not a good standard to put reality up against. I'm very aware of that. Right. Let me ask you one thing. But I see PM's having that up forever. I feel like we're just talking.
It's okay. We'll get
Let me ask you something.
It's a good conversation.
You know who Moshe the Beetle is from Night, right?
Who?
You've read the book Night, right?
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
You remember who Moshe is?
You don't have to remember. It's been
Okay, so this was a big mind trip. I'm going to give you just
Eli Wiesel.
I'm going to give you just a quick 45-second rundown. My name is Max. Hebrew name is Moshe, right? Moses. And in Yiddish, it's Moshe, right? Now, the first time I read Night, I was probably 13 or something like that, and it was very obvious upon reading it the second time that my mind made up some kind of fabrication for how I thought the book was to protect me from what it actually is. There's a character named Moshe at the beginning of the book. Okay, before, and remember, this is in Hungary in the town of Szeged, right? Before Eli and his family and the Hungarian Jews are deported, okay, the foreign Jews are deported. One of them is Moshe the Beadle, okay? He comes back from one of the mass killings in Poland. This is not in a camp. This is, in fact, before, the Eisengruppen kind of thing, right? Where they just mow them down and throw them in a ditch, right?
I studied the Eisengruppen and the mobile killing squads in Russia.
Well, in plenty of places, by the way. Might I remind you that the entire Hungarian Jewish population was deported, 1 month before Russia would have encroached upon that and liberated it, and less than 120 Nazis were involved in the deportation of the entire Hungarian Jewish population. It was basically Hungary that did it. The point is that Moshe is one of the only people to survive this mass killing by a miracle. He comes back to Szeged. Okay, and all he does is wander the streets begging anyone to listen. Jews, listen to me. I don't want your money. I don't want your pity. I just want you to listen. And everyone in the town labels him as attention-seeking, paranoid. It's a form of madness, right? Blah, 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 blah. Because they don't want to hear the message he has. And who would? Who would want to hear my message if I'm right? Because by implication, me being right means we're all fucking it up right now, forget my language, and we should be doing something more than just scoffing at them. We used to say anti-vaxxers are just some kooks on the internet, and now what? A good 40%, 45% of all Americans are just terrified of doing it? Okay, we watch entire Republican states have much higher deaths from corona, and we all know why it is, right? It's no longer some people on the internet. We should have known that when Paul Kessler was killed at the corner of Westlake and Teal Boulevard, which is my hometown. Okay, 3 weeks after October 7th, someone in my hometown is murdered in broad daylight. Lowy Analjay has still not spent 1 frickin' second in a jail cell. His court case has been postponed 4 times. Again, every individual example I give you is not going to make a difference because we are the frogs in a pot and we've allowed this to just be overlooked. Okay, imagine if 19 months ago in one of your rooms, I had come to you and I told you that 19 months from now, all the stuff you're seeing around you would just be a daily part of life. You probably would have said, oh shit, I would be taking drastic steps at that point. But they raise the temperature degree by degree by degree by degree. And it's gotten to the point where, yes, they do hunt us in our homes.
Okay, so first of all, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to have to go in a second because I got to put these kids to bed. But I also, let me just add that I'm not saying anything in what you're saying isn't accurate about. Obviously, it's a really difficult time for Jewish people.
Try being the guy who tells them that.
Oh wait, sorry. Did you guys? I was on mute. Was I on mute? Sorry, I'm gonna have to put these kids to bed in a second. But I appreciate your perspective. Okay, so my point is, I think sometimes a lot of what you see online doesn't necessarily represent the real world, and some does, right? So I'm not saying that like what we see, because our feeds are like the algorithm is like really brutal. Like they know exactly what to do. Like I imagine your algorithm in your feed is probably rough, as mine is. But then you go out into the real world, and I don't see any of this stuff in my daily, job. I literally work in a place where it's rare in Los Angeles, where I'm like one of the only Jewish people there. And everyone, treats me fine. But obviously things are different in certain echo chambers, in certain areas, in certain people, in certain groups. So I wonder about how much of what you're seeing represents, the world. But at the same time, it is a scary time for people.
The fact
not
that
only
you're even giving my argument a sliver of credence tells you exactly where we're at in the world.
Well, no, but you have two separate arguments, and I agree with one of them, that things are really bad for, and it's not just Jews. Yes, there's incredible high amounts of anti-Semitism, Jewish sentiment, and especially on platforms like X. But we can also credit Elon Musk for opening it up, because it never used to be like this. They never used to have daily spaces about the Jewish, question and problem and all that, right? So that is sort of, exaggerated and created a platform for them. They used to be people that would have to communicate other ways, in secret forums and other ways. Now they're on. Yeah, exactly. So that's also a huge, I think, deal. But so I agree with you about the rise of it, and it's not just hate against Jews. We're seeing all kinds of, we talked about that racist video earlier. People are just, using the N-word in public, right, to 5-year-olds right now, like it doesn't even matter. And then people are raising money for the white person who said it, and there's Nazi accounts that are like, spreading around her GoFundMe, and she's up to like almost $100,000. It's sick, and the attacks on women. Oh, okay, sorry. Attacks on women, people of color, and the LGBT gay community,
and people of Asian descent, and people from Philippines.
Exactly. So
we can go down the whole list, but
right.
If I might, and this matters. Okay, look, this matters. Okay, if, for example, pick a day after some tragic event for the Black community, there were the largest protests London had ever seen, where they're openly screaming to kill Black folk, and a Black person came in the room and gave you the entire diatribe I just gave you, would you be more or less amenable to saying, yeah, that doesn't sound crazy at all, and I think, in fact, y'all be in some hot water? This is the point, right? Hate is everywhere. That's fine. But
I don't think our president's helping. But
again, I don't have much love for Trump, right?
Right. I'm kind of being sarcastic. I think he's definitely hurting. But let me just close it down like this, because I got to put my kids to sleep. So I agree with you on a lot of what you're saying. At the end of the day, by the way, this is like a space where we host Holocaust deniers regularly. It's a rare occurrence. We'll be talking to someone about vaccines, and then we'll start to sniff out that they're also, Nazis, right? We don't really get. That was the one time we really talked about it for more than 5 minutes, really. So I don't want you to think this is a space where I've always used to have a policy where just shame and mock Holocaust deniers. I won't actually debate them. But the problem is now it's become so big that I actually do refute their points now online, on tweets, not necessarily in spaces.
I know I've interrupted, but I'll let you have the last word after for this. So pick a lane.
Yeah.
It's either exploding, it's everywhere, it's to the point where you have to...
On X, it's exploding.
Well, touche. It's either what you just described it as, or Max the Frog is paranoid. Pick one.
I think that in between what you think it is and what the reality is, you're closer to it, right? But but my point is that that's not what necessarily what this space is. If that's what you're criticizing,
but we do. It's just begging
or commenting on.
It's begging at this point for you guys to wake up.
But if we. Right. No, but if we were talking to someone about vaccines and they start going into crazy conspiracy theories about Jews, we're going to, I have no problem mocking them and, having some fun with them. That doesn't mean we're going to have serious debates about, the gas chambers. That's a rare thing that we do in our space. So it's not something, that's something I would do with a Jake Shields tweet or something to just, or something like that, where I'd be replying with or putting a note, on someone's tweet. Just so they get demonetized for it, and also people see the truth. But so I guess in conclusion, I appreciate what you're saying. But do you believe that, let's say, if everyone completely ignored these people, didn't respond, didn't refute, didn't challenge, that it would get better? What's your solution?
Well, again, and I really appreciate the amount of time you've given me, and hopefully I'll be able to stop by another time. So if you're asking me what the solution is, you'll probably get some kind of radical, over the top thing, like a Baytar comment, and I don't want to bring that message to the table.
No, please.
Yeah, again, I'm trying to stay nuanced, and I realize that
you're not that extreme, are you?
I don't think I'm that extreme, but my point is that there's a great quote, which is if you take a reasonable group of people, let's say that's us, and you put them up against a truly deranged group of people, okay, well, the truly deranged will eventually derange the totally sane. Now, I think the appropriate thing to do, if you want a very mild response to it, would be at the least start to, as a community of Jews and allies, build the analogous Iron Dome for ourselves, not literal anti-rocket bases, but some kind of defensive measure. By definition, the hour we waste on these goddamn fucking Nazis, I just have to say it that way, is an hour wasted that could be applied to something better. I don't care. Build Little Israel in Wisconsin. By definition, that is a better use of our time. And I also think, and I'm trying to just keep it directly to the question you asked me, I think our charitability needs to run out. Okay, 18 months ago, I would have agreed with you. At this point, I'm less interested in second guessing how paranoid I'm being, and I'm more interested in getting everyone who's not paying attention to hyper focus. I'm going to say it with some rage on the fact that 2 people in LA were just tortured and murdered within a week, and we know why it happened to them. And 2 days from now, no one's even going to remember that.
Right. No, I appreciate that. And this is a final thing I'll say, and then we'll let other people discuss it. Maybe David probably has some comment about this and PM. But we got to be careful. I've always said that extremists are the problem in this country, just in general, like whether it comes to politics on the right or left, or whether it comes to the Israel issue. It was a good example because you brought up Beitar, which is like a very extremist pro-Israel group. In fact, they're the only extremist group listed on the ADL website. That's a Jewish group, and I completely reject their message because I think they're a very hateful extremist group. And anyway, there was a post by that Nazi, who's that guy? Who's that communist? Rathbone, whatever that is.
I'm not anti-Semitic, but I'm going to say tiny hat.
Yeah. He's an absolute scumbag, like total evil POS. And he made a tweet that said, "Make Zionists feel unsafe again," and which is disgusting. But then, of course, the reply by that group, Beitar, was, "There are no innocents in Palestine." So like that, both of those tweets were offensive, and to me, and I think that that just shows 2 sides of the extremes. And so I think the only way that we're going to find a way to get out of this and find some peace, not just in the Middle East but in the world, is to bring people away from the extremes.
The only way we're going to stop the thousands of rising Nazi groups is to make sure we're equally disparaging of the one radical Jewish one.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Because it's kind of the joke of the situation, but
No, but my point is, it's not that the Nazi groups, honestly, they don't represent most of the world. Most of the world is not a Nazi group. Most of the world. Okay, we can do that. But in general, most people are not on the extreme right or the extreme left. But the problem is the extreme right and the extreme left, whatever. I'm not talking about liberals or conservatives. I'm talking about communists and woke right and far right people. They are the ones that we see online. They are the ones represented in the algorithm. They're the ones that have the followers that are getting on these shows, and that they're seemingly representing the world when most people don't feel either side the same way, and that's unfortunate because when you see only see extremes, that you kind of start to believe that the world only thinks those two ways, and that's just not true. It's not, just MAGA or like Jill Stein. It's like there is something in between on both the center left or center right, and or even the left or the right, that are not bad. They're not bad people, but there are a lot of bad people on those extremes, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. But I appreciate you coming in. I'll let other people respond to you, and of course we can continue the dialogue different times. This was an interesting conversation. Why don't I bring in David, because he probably has a good perspective on this.
Hey, Truther. Well, I mean, my perspective, it's similar to what I heard from the two of you. I am just, I don't see too much around me. Like, I don't not run into this, around a lot of non-Jews, and there's nobody like that. But I open up Twitter, and it's just all over my timeline, the most extreme, horrible things, and it's noticeable even over the last week or two how much more extreme it gets, where they just it just went from a few months ago where, I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm just anti-Zionist, to just saying the Jews are doing this. Like, it's crazy. It's almost like those videos from Palestinian places in the West Bank and Gaza, where they say in Arabic, "Oh, the Jews did this to us," and then they BBC translates it as the Zionists did it to us. Like, not even that. They sound like the untranslated ones at that point, right? And but then I wonder, like, how much of that is real? Okay, how much of these are like bots? I know that some of it's real, because there is a real Jill Stein and there's a real Medea Benjamin, and I'm like looking at this crap, and I'm just, the real shock are the real people, the ones that are real. Like, we know that Rashida Tlaib is real, okay? And even worse, the Jewish ones, that they're no different from Rashida Tlaib, like Medea Benjamin, there's no difference. And it's just freaky, like, what is going on? How does it get to this point where, like, a Jewish person who actually, I looked up, like, how did this person get to this point to just hate a country, right? And turned out, so with the Code Pink woman, Medea Benjamin, she spent some time on the kibbutz in the early 1960s. She was all excited. It's from what I found out by reading like some article she wrote. But then you have to take it with a grain of salt, like what she wrote in the article. But apparently she went to spend a summer on kibbutz on Gedi, and then had a bad experience. And then, from that point, thought Israel's evil. Like, at the age of 16, Israel's evil. Okay, so who knows? She wrote that it was like Jews doing something bad to Arabs, but 16-year-old, it wasn't that. It was probably something like personal happened, and then she hated the whole country after that. Okay, and then they just love the anti-Semites. That's who they want. Like, they want to recruit people like that. And it's a phenomenon, and it's really a little bit scary that we don't know how much of it is real, how much of it is the Twitter algorithm, and how much of it is a reflection of what's really going on in society.
Dave, forgive me. Can I say one thing on it? Yeah. You know what every German said when the Allies marched in?
What?
Ich bin ein Nazi.
Yeah, I'm not a Nazi. Yeah.
How many people? Let me point something out to you. Yeah. This is the current goalpost. Yeah. They don't hate Jews unless they say they hate Jews. Kanye says he hates Jews. Oh, he's just mentally ill. That's the goalpost. goes. First, they say we have to get them on camera saying they hate them.
Yeah.
Then, when you get them on camera saying they hate them, they're mentally ill. That's the point. No anti-Semite thinks they're an anti-Semite. And look, there's two groups of people. People who will openly tell you what they think about quote-unquote the Jews, and people who will only tell you when you push them. Try pushing some people. Try asking them a pressing question and see how fast their mask of neutrality drops.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you're pushing them, no, I love Jews, and then, you push them, you're saying, and they'll be like, well, you guys did take all the German businesses, like, how could you do that? And then you really know, like, how they were raised, what their parents probably told them when they were growing up. Sometimes I wonder, the non-Jews who never say anything about Gaza or Israel or everything. Yeah, I do sometimes wonder, but do they say it behind my back? I'm not always sure.
You don't have to wonder. Just push a little, and you'll be shocked at how much venom comes out when you squeeze.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I've done that and nothing comes out. So then I know they just, the conclusion I draw is they don't say anything supportive either. They don't say, oh, it's terrible how they're, how Israel's got such, there's so much like anti-Israel hatred. They don't say that either. They just don't. It's like they don't know that part of the world exists. It's just not on their minds at all. That's what most of the non-Jews around where I live, that's what it's like. At least the ones I encounter. And the ones that are really anti-Israel, I don't know them. I saw like one of the baristas who talks with me all the time, is nice, was like hugging some friend of hers who's got like a keffiyeh like hanging out from under her jacket. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, okay, well, it's all around me and I don't know it. And, you talk with people on a superficial level, but, you don't know what that person is like. That person might be.
Again, you guys are experts at debunking anti-vax rhetoric. Notice how every anti-vaxxer comes in with a smile on their face. They're so polite. They're just here to talk. 10 minutes later, they're screaming at you.
Yeah.
Just try pushing a little bit, and you'll see how much venom they're.
Enough about Thomas.
It is the same phenomenon. The anti-vax and the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic stuff. It's all like the same mentality. There are very few that are where it's not the same people, except for Stealth. That's like the exception, and I haven't figured out that yet either. The Truth knows who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I mean like the hardcore right wing MAGA pro-Israel people are extreme.
Major like anti-vax was like her thing.
Oh yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh God, Stealth Medical. Yeah, she's bad news bears.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Yeah, and I that too. Like that is really off-putting when you're trying to debunk or whatever an anti-Semite or like an Israel hater, and then the people, they do come with the like the tar or the Kahanism type responses. All right, and then I've got the threats. I mean, I've not gotten emails, but I've gotten threats like on this platform where not the person. It's always like, luckily the person doesn't really know who I am. They never look you up because it's just they're right. They would say that to anyone with an Israeli flag on your profile. They'll just say that. And they'll just be like, oh, you guys are horrible. You kill babies. You want to kill all the babies, whatever. Like, that's what I get. And then if you write, well, it's blood libel, you get oh, that's your Zionist propaganda. You call everything blood libel. You can't win. And it doesn't help that the Kahanis then will step in and say, oh, all the Palestinians, they all deserve to die. All the children, we got to wipe them out. Okay, that doesn't help me if I'm trying to influence the middle people. And the middle people, they are the people, they don't know much about the Middle East at all. They just kind of wander and they hear things. I mean, you can influence people, not the ones who are totally committed to, wiping out Western civilization, but there are plenty in the middle, and it kind of disrupts that whole process if, the extremists on the other side come in, try to help, in air quotes, and they make it worse.
Can't disagree on that. Sure, Mike, you still there?
Appreciate it. I will stop by another time. And David, I would love to have a back and forth, but PM has been waiting forever. And
Yeah, we've got, let's let PM and then Brian go.
Hi, sorry. I'm going to go back about an hour because that's where my thing must be.
Oh wait, sorry. Can we just stay? Let's stay on this, and then if you have something else,
Well,
you
I
can
just
bring
kind
it
of this
later.
because it's for Jeffrey. Is that okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, and it does go into like where David was talking about threats, and so was Max, et cetera, et cetera. So just to let you all know that there is whatever 3-letter office is in your area, whether it be an FBI, a police department, or whatever, they all have cyber crimes units. I used to live next door to America's Best Christian, Mrs. Betty Bowers, and my job was as a film critic, which I had a whole complete account for, and we did a video together where we talked about Marvel and the Marvel world, and we were come at by all these fanboys, not just death threats online. They would show up to the premieres and to the media screenings to threaten us and to gang up on us and to come at us. We had to go through a whole thing. This is real. It does happen, and it isn't just that there is people on here that specifically do this to you. But what happens is there is a cyber crimes unit that will investigate that and come and literally, like, we had people arrested because they were showing up, as I said, for these things. So it is something, Jeffrey, that you can do, that you can contact those people and they will investigate. It doesn't happen overnight. Don't think it's going to. It does have to escalate to a certain point, unfortunately, because they don't take a lot of things seriously and they're backlogged like insanely. Here, I still keep an eye out because I don't know. And they know what they will just literally approach you out of nowhere. I'll just lead into that. Today I was downtown LA with some of the protesters. There was a whole groups of everyone together. Many people wearing their yarmulke, everything, just all together protesting for one, current thing. So that's a good point. That's sometimes everybody can join together for one thing in common. That did happen. Lastly, I will just say two things. Marjorie Taylor put out a tweet today that said red states and blue states should
So you was a part of like the wilderness, right?
I wasn't no
Okay, so
wilderness about respectfully. No. Don't put that on my
was your part of it in the beginning?
I was definitely pros and cons. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
so you was pros and cons.
Yeah, bro. That's a different beast.
But you're cool with her, right?
Of course. I'm gonna be cool with people I did for a long time.
So why was you a part of pros and cons but not a part of like that?
I put my 2 weeks notice.
Go ahead, Bible.
I put my 2 weeks notice in. That's all.
Okay. No, it's just weird because it's just like I was asking him something, you interrupted.
I mean, I was talking initially and I was interrupted as well, so I figured it was.
No, but I was asking him something and then you interrupted me.
Yeah, and I was
and
talking.
then now you think it's like a thing, so you try to throw shade, right? So you try to throw shade and say,
let the ladies talk. I don't understand what the issue is. I don't understand what the issue is.
And then now your friend is gonna jump in, but it's just like really.
No, first of all, she's not gonna jump in, right?
Because you know me, you know me and you are cool, so it's just like really.
Yeah, so my thing is, if we're cool, right, and I'm speaking,
like all of this stuff is really ridiculous. And you know she's obsessed with me, so it's just kind of like.
What I'm saying is that I think that all of you know I'm a firm believer in treat others how you want to be treated.
Of course, but when I came in house speaking to him, and then you asked about it, and I said, okay, cool. So you asked it, he didn't say
I
nothing.
wasn't
I said,
even
okay,
done
cool.
with
So
it was a statement, my baby. It was a statement.
Okay, cool. So you said your statement. I
wasn't complete. Are you gonna tell me when I was complete?
So then you tried to ask about me and Vampy. So you was throwing
Medusa,
shade.
let her wake it
Like,
up.
I have been asking the same question all day. So if you want to take it to the asshole,
And who cares? Like, it
you
doesn't
were on
even
content. What are you talking about? You like it's something disrespectful or something?
Bro, nobody gives a fuck, babe.
What are you mad about?
I'm not mad, but it's just like, bro, what are you upset about? Like, to the point where you're going to be talking about me, Vampy, and him when we're in a Bible room.
Well, I don't think
I'm
I'm
talking
upset.
to him
I
about
think that
his
if
shit.
you're allowed to ask questions about
Bro,
me,
like, come on, man.
why can't I? Why are
Bro, you
you
can ask whatever you need to ask. Just don't ask me shit. Medusa, I don't have no issue with you, bro. I've never ever said anything disrespectful to you in my
Do you
life.
feel like I was being disrespectful to you?
Bro, you tried to throw shade and ask about me and Vampy and him. You know what you just did?
All day.
Who cares though? Who cares though? Like I talk
Why
about
do you
me,
feel like
Vampy,
it's
and him all
disrespectful
day.
to ask you a question?
It's not disrespectful. You was just trying to throw shade, baby. It's not disrespectful.
You know I throw
You was
trees.
just trying to throw shade.
Not disrespectful.
You know I throw trees, right?
Sorry, shut up.
You know I throw trees.
Yeah, go on mute, baby girl. I love you down boots. But go on mute. You tried to throw shade. You tried to throw shade.
Okay, you know what? I think we should just let it be here. You might want to just we both will just let it.
Oh, Medusa, you tried to
Nobody
throw
gives a fuck,
shade.
Medusa.
We both know if I wanted an issue, I would have threw a tree.
Medusa, I don't.
So I just let it be. I think
Medusa,
if I
I don't care.
Shade.
When it's sunny outside, he tried to throw
I
shade.
can throw a tree.
And I'm gonna
right
you
now.
want to throw trees? Is that what you want right now? Let me know.
Throwing trees?
I don't
Come
care
on,
to
y'all.
beef
Don't
with
do
you.
her like that.
Wake it
I don't care
up.
to beef with you.
Who's
I don't
y'all?
care to
Well,
beef
they
with
didn't do
you.
nothing.
But if you want to throw shade at me, like
You did. You cut her off at first, but it was that was a no. That but no, she was talking first, and then you tried to get your little statement in there, but I don't think she completed hers. But
Yeah, how many
I think there's just a misreading of energy.
bullshit? How many people cut each other off every day on here?
After that, she tried to throw.
Yeah, she threw up Vampy. That was crazy, but I think that was her dig because she probably felt like you was trying to slap her in the face when you was like, yeah. Anyway, like you was.
Yeah, because I said anyway, because I know she's trying to
She
throw
probably wanted to recap. It was,
Why did these bitches do that?
Maybe I'm sleepy. I don't know.
Sorry, I know what you're talking about, but
like I said,
it's just like, why do you not try to do that? And it's
because
just
I was
not
necessary.
necessary. You don't try to live out.
I've been asking the same question all motherfucking day before you even got to the last room. I was asking Bella about the content. I asked Bella the hard question.
Because you were
I asked
losing
Bella, How can you give your homegirl advice on a nigga that you also talk to?
I've been that bitch.
We had a plentiful
I've
conversation.
been that bitch like my whole life.
Is that a question?
Get that shit out. Bitch.
Who the fuck is questioning whether or not you that bitch?
It's really not that serious, bro. Like, you tried it. It is what it is. You threw shade straight away. Bitch, I don't have no problem.
It's not that serious. Wake it
I
up.
don't have
Who
no
you
problem
calling a
with
bitch?
you.
Wake it
Who
up.
I
you
don't have
calling a
you.
bitch?
You.
First of all, hold on.
Go ahead, babe. Go ahead, babe.
Medusa,
I
this is not
keep
that
saying
serious. I'm just
that I
going to
think-
wake it up.
And I don't know.
Because
I'm
it's just
trying
like
to
these
say
bitches try it all
that
the
I
fucking time. And it's just
I've been asking the same motherfucking question, and you up in here crying like a bitch. Stop crying like a little bitch. First of all, I asked Bella worst questions that I asked you. So if anything, Bella should have felt disrespected, and she didn't because she knew it was all about the content. Motherfuckers be messy. So what the fuck is we talking about? You're not gonna hold me up on a little bitch though. Because I didn't disrespect you. I asked a simple fucking that because you wasn't in the room earlier. But I asked Bella worst question. So fuck is we talking about? You know, like I said, oh, you a bitch asshole.
No one was speaking to
What the fuck you talking about? You don't call me out my fucking name. What you talking about?
Listen.
Don't call me out my name. I didn't disrespect you. I asked you a simple fucking question. If you feel like you're that motherfucking disrespected, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't really
bitch.
give a fuck, bitch.
Well, go chase that dick hoe.
I
Fuck
think she
you, hoe.
will.
And wake it up.
And I will.
I think she
I'm
will.
still walking away, but you want to keep doing that shit, then we can do that shit. What's up?
And then here comes the bitch that's obsessed with me.
To the group, you are toxic as hell. I've been trying to boom this room for a minute, and you niggas said no. So I just want to let you know that you are the problem. Okay, the group, you are definitely the problem. Big time.
Can I just say, it's 6:44 in the morning.
Love you, Diane.
144 for me.
Love you, Diane.
Love you
It's
too.
11:45 p.m. here.
Can we just be grateful that we woke up this morning? Thank you, God.
I haven't woken up yet.
I only got like 3 hours sleep, so anybody else can have
3 hours sleep. She been trying to shut the room down for like how long?
Welcome back to another late night episode of Low IQ Dumb People Talking About Nothing, wasting all their fucking time.
Y'all have a good night.
Like narrow.
Marty, do me a favor. I tagged you and Danny. Now tag Chet. Did you see it?
Let me see.
It just keeps.
Anything that you would find, say, well, oh, isn't God clever? You know, that's not helpful. That's not like a useful, like, prediction. That's not like a strength of the theory for like on evolution. It's like, well, yeah, like that's actually, if you're gonna take a terrestrial mammal and you know, make it aquatic, it's gonna look something like a whale. Right? You don't just get to reinvent the creature from the ground up. Evolution is a tinkerer. It has to kind of, you know, follow the path of like least resistance, and it has.
Alright. We're gonna talk about it later.
I wake up and go.
You gotta start texting me then.
You gotta follow me back.
I didn't follow you.
Actually, always, you know, like, you know, that, you know, less number of tourists should come. Less number. It should be, you know, equal to, like, you know, Sikkim have equal to.
Oh, what a curious quartet here. A fake fucking federal judge and a fake Republican.
To be honest though about the orbs thing, I thought Sam was just joking about the orbs. I never thought he was actually being serious.
Well, it doesn't matter. Then again, like, he can say what he wants.
Well, the way he's cooking it again is that he's talking about he's making it seem like the Orthodox are not Orthodox. That is his claim. If you watch the whole video, he's saying that the Orthodox are not Orthodox.
Are Christians allowed to curse and insult?
You're not supposed to, but it depends on what way, depends for what intent, depends for, you know.
Well, some will cite the way how not in like cursing for no reason. Like I say, like, for example, Some will usually cite Jesus' criticisms and insults towards the Pharisees or the church fathers against heretics, or the prophet Isaiah against those who went against God's rules, or the apostles speaking against unbelievers.
Well, again, depends. Like, for example, do you know, hey, Ben Gabriel in Georgia. That's one of my favorite. He wasn't wrong. He was calling them all sorts of things. It was so funny. What about John the Baptist? What about, with the black man, what about that? Yeah. Well, it depends on what you mean and how,
Like if let's say there's a blasphemer or a dog that somebody that like some wicked Muslim dog that I'm talking to, would it be okay if I insulted him, called him a son of a whore?
I'm not God.
Or if I cursed his God, like I say, Nik Rabbak ya kalb.
We've all done bad things. I mean, there's always virtue in being better than your opponent, right?
I guess, yeah.
Bless those who curse you.
Bless those who curse you. Huh.
I come short big time. I come short big time, but like if you want, like what it's supposed to be, yeah, bless those who curse you. The more they curse you, the more you bless them. The more they do bad to you, the more you do good to them. That's right.
We're trying now about to detail. Okay.
Involving
the United States government.
To live is Christ and to die is gain. That's literally what it means.
And NASA.
Okay.
Alright. And I'm sure you've heard the rumors. The moon landing? That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landing.
So it's been known for quite a while that Ilhan Omar apparently married her
Why
own
the
brother
Crusades
to
were
help
worse
gain
than you
entry.
thought. Debunking Pax Tube's Crusader ideology.
Illegally into the country.
Pax Tube, Inquisition, conspiracy, and anti-Semitism.
The FBI had evidence to confirm it, but didn't do anything about it. Randy Devine is an actual journalist.
Leftist dude from Europe made a video response to well, to be fair, the guy he was responding to is kind of an idiot, but both of them oversimplified the Crusades. Both the guy he was responding to and the guy who did the
to
response.
skip the inauguration.
You know what? The name of the book, but there's a beautiful book on the matter. Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
People don't realize from my decision to make choices at the beginning of this year that suited me were met with such ridicule
I know
and
about the
criticism.
Crusades, dude. I've studied about the Crusades a lot. There's even books I know about the Crusades that I have. Even one of them.
Like people couldn't.
There were hundreds of battles throughout the Crusades. There were 9 Crusades in total.
Crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that.
What do you mean 11 battles in total? There were 9 Crusades. There were many different sieges and battles.
Per year, like crazy amounts. There was.
No, it wasn't 11. We have 9 Crusades. You can't tell me there were only 11 battles throughout the entirety of Crusades. You can't tell me the Crusaders didn't took over the entire Holy Land. I think it's just one battle, or like 1 or 2 battles in each Crusade.
They're most famous. Those words are weird together.
The rest of them
Yeah, you're talking about the first Crusade. I'm talking about the Crusades in general.
I don't know why. Just like venture capital, sort of government, CIA is.
Yeah, it was a very important crusade, but there was also another crusade that's important to talk about. It was a terrible one, though. It was the Fourth Crusade. But what was the Holy Land? Wait, I did say it was terrible. There's one called the Holy Land in the Era of the Crusades. Kingdoms at the Crossroads of Civilizations, 1100, 1300, by Helena P. Schrader. Read that book. Really good book on the Crusades.
For guys, 100 years, it was 350 something years of mass slaughter of Christians all over the Middle East. It was the rape, the pillaging, the theft, the debauchery, the going into churches and slaughtering everyone, all of that stuff. So then, then everything happened as a result. So it's defensive war because the Muslims were expanding into Christian territory, not the other way around. They make it seem like, oh, it's the Europeans coming to our land. No, like we really expanded from Saudi Arabia everywhere,
I just want to say this really quick about for Crusades, all the Christians killing each other. What happened was the Byzantines committed the massacre of the Latins, and then the Latin Christians, the Crusaders, basically raided Constantinople and slaughtered a bunch of Byzantines. And even the Catholics ended up, the Catholic Church ended up basically excommunicating the Crusaders who committed the massacre in Constantinople. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's how the history went exactly. There's aspect of the Orthodox patristic witness regarding Catholicism. You should read it. It's very big.
Secretary Noem says Harvard will lose it.
The Orthodox patristic
An Orthodox Ethos publication. It's actually very beautiful. It's like very big. You're not gonna read the whole thing anytime soon.
Well, I'm not gonna. Of course, I won't read the whole thing, but I might read some stuff that might come of interest.
Oh yeah, it's like
Yes, it basically the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things.
It's very well documented both on the history of Catholicism from the Orthodox perspective, and you'll find
Yeah,
it's a very good book. Buy it. For sure, buy it.
Is there nothing in dollars? Jeez.
It's the 1,000 pages. Do you want me to read it? Well, let me find some pieces that are interesting to read if you want. It talks about everything. It talks about literally everything. Just go check the content. The table of content alone is like
$47.45. What the heck? Dude, that's almost $50. That's what the hell, man.
Tribes in this country now are living in food deserts.
For one drunk
each. Chronic health crisis.
That you have broadcast nigga. That's what.
I'm not broke. It's just I have to save money for my tuition, man.
Man, nobody gets money. What about tuition?
It's heart disease.
Motherfucker, how will I live a life without a college degree? Without a good job?
Do not worry, the Lord says.
Well, the Lord doesn't want me to sit on my ass and do nothing and get the job as a janitor.
What's invested? Coronary disease, diabetes.
The beginning of that book. Okay. This volume is
something else about the swearing.
According to this is the word of Saint Justin Publivich. According to the true Church of Christ, that has existed since the advent of Christ, the Theanthropos, into the world, as his theanthropic body, the dogma of the infallibility of the Pope is not only a heresy, but the ultimate heresy. No other heresy has so radically and so comprehensively risen against Christ, the Theanthropos, and his Church, as Papism has, through the dogma of the infallibility of the Pope, the Imam. This is undoubtedly the heresy of all heresies. It is the horror of all horrors.
You're reading something heretical.
Who was that?
He's so crazy.
I feel like you're kind of veering away from the point. Like Mark just made like a really serious objection, and I feel like you're kind of like derailing a little bit as you start talking about like, well, can you explain love and sacrifice?
Well, I guess the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm trying to explain even in his view, like all these things that we see today, I could say, well, yeah, evolution shouldn't be able to predict that. And actually, it goes against that. It goes against evolution.
Well, I mean, maybe you could address the point that was raised, though, which is that evolution does predict the cladistic structure of biodiversity, whereas the Christian theism does not, because as was explained, right, like you could have all kinds of different biodiversity that doesn't follow a cladistic structure, right? That an intelligent agent could bring about. And so you would be left to explain why he chose to bring about the one outcome that was the only outcome that you would get in evolution.
Well, so the reason why, right, I hear you, but the reason why I went there, have a whole new planet, is because.
Baby, what's up with your passion?
Or quality, or any other literary item.
Look at that.
You know how you live that on that motherfucker.
Nah. Like both things. Yeah, I said that. But that's why I don't talk to people.
That's not bad because he promoted on Clubhouse, told niggas to download it.
Yo, Ariota, why do you look like that musician The Weeknd, but the uglier version? And he's all rapper. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I give you
It's why it's
Delage.
important to question yourself and question your beliefs. See, because it's better to know that you have a limiting belief than to have a limiting belief and don't know that it's there.
Shit, it's better to know.
See, just like those little small baby elephants.
Baby elephant.
They didn't know any better when they were little.